Hello, everybody. This is episode 2 of season 2. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I got an excellent guest today. His name is Jordan Leithart.
Leithart.
Jordan Leithart.
Yeah.
Welcome him, everybody. Maybe give a round of applause, for
Thank you for
watching the
having me.
video. Yeah. Thanks for swinging by. I appreciate it. We were enjoying a meal at the common table during in between services, and you were like, "Yeah, I watched your podcast. I thought it was pretty cool,
Yeah.
couple, whatnot." And you were like, "Yeah, I'd love to do it myself." And I was like, "Phew,
Yeah.
amazing,
Anytime you want to
yeah,
talk about art, and
yeah,
I'm in the games world, so
yeah,
games art I can talk for hours. So we probably have
yeah,
to limit ourselves on
yeah,
this one.
yeah." That's right. But that kind of leads into my first question.
Yeah.
Um, Give us a little life update. Introduce yourself.
hmm
Who are you? What do you do? Um, yeah.
I am Jordan Leithart, as we've gone over a couple of times
Yes.
now. I am uh, right now, as of a month ago, I am the founder of a new video game studio in Chattanooga called Lux Core Studios.
Very cool.
Uh, Before that, I'd worked in the AAA games industry for since 2014, with a
Okay.
year off here and there. Um, COVID helped me work remotely, so I've been programming since 2008, 2009. Before that, I did all sorts of odd jobs. My wife and I moved here in 2019 and started at Calvary in 2020
Yeah.
because the church we were attending shut down for COVID, so we needed some place to attend, and we haven't looked back ever since.
Amazing. Super cool.
And we met because of production.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, all things production. I made my way to the church, in the last 2 years, and Jordan was he was a volunteer and on the production team, and that's how we met.
Yeah.
So,
You were
yeah.
doing some music stuff.
Yeah, I was working on my personal music endeavors.
Has it come to fruition at all, or
Um, no, I kind of was in and out. I used to rap, right?
okay?
So I would just load an MP3 or WAV file and then add vocals on top of it. But it's not really me. And so
You have a little lack of melanin going on.
yeah, yeah, that's right. So I've been learning the guitar and piano and just learning
Mm,
how a band would build a song. Um, and so it's kind of tricky to do that in like your first like year or two to like really like put something great together.
yeah,
So it's been a little bit slower than I was hoping for, but I've had a couple demos that I've recorded with guitar and keys and whatnot.
very
So
cool.
um, I'm more so into the video and the video
hmm
production and yeah, soundtrack type things,
Very
like
cool.
add like sound design
Yeah.
for videos. That's kind of what my kick is right now creatively. So,
So what goes into that? Like when understand like beats and
yeah.
stuff like that. Like
Mhm.
when you hit Hans Zimmer is great at that.
Yes.
Uh, but like aside from like hitting the crescendo at the right time, what else goes into sound design for a video?
Mm. Well, it's a great question. I work in Adobe Premiere. It's the DAW that I use. There's a couple other ones, but that's the one that I'm able to use. So, the first thing I like to do is I add a click track, right?
Okay.
So usually it's like 90 to 120 BPM. That gives you a flow of how
Basically a
you,
metronome.
yeah,
Okay.
like a metronome. That's like my first thing that goes along to whatever video clips I have. So like the cuts will be like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it'll switch to a different cut.
Okay.
That's really helpful to get the visual kind of flowing. And then once you have kind of the visuals, you well, depending on what audio you have, if you have like small clips of like say a voiceover or um yeah, things like that. Like say you have a voiceover of like somebody's voice, you kind of want to add that in with the click. You don't
hmm
want to like have it like just straight through. You kind of want to like chop it up and put it in certain places.
Okay.
So that once you have at that point, once you kind of have it, you build your video in your voiceover if you have a vocal, right?
Hmm.
Um, Once you have those two together, anything else on top is from the video clips itself. Like a good example, there was this series I did called Now I Chase, Now I Seek.
Okay.
I all I have is an example out, but I'm working with some other people to get their own episodes out. What I did for that is I would get the clips and then I would have the click track and then I would add the voiceover and then using the audio from the video clips, like say I was like I took a video of like the street and the
Hmm.
cars were like beeping or honking or whatever. I wouldn't like have that at a loud volume, but it would be subtle, like
Okay.
behind the voiceover.
Right.
So
Like ambient
really,
noise almost.
yeah, yeah, that's right. Just kind of fills like the space of your voiceover. And like in movie scenes,
Hmm.
if you're walking down the street, they have the person's voice, like the cast member
Right.
speaking. Like say an actor is walking down the street, they're going to have their voice and then also like the the street that they're on, whatever audio happens to be going on,
Okay.
they'll add that in.
Right.
Um, there is some people like Peter McKinnon that I'm a big fan of. He's like a YouTuber, photographer, videographer.
Okay.
He likes to add like really cool video clips and photos together,
Okay.
and he'll have like buildups like,
Oh
and
yeah.
then stuff like that. You can add that stuff in, but
Yeah.
I'm more on the basic side, just
Sure.
like
It takes time
yeah,
and skill to get
yeah,
up to that.
yeah,
Yeah. My brother has a YouTube channel,
yes,
and he does an Albanian, like my Albanian life was what he was trying to do for a little because
hmm,
he lives in Albania, and he likes to do a lot of like drone footage and
okay,
quick cuts on the beats of things.
hmm,
It's a lot of fun to watch, but he needs more subscribers, honestly.
yeah.
But yeah, so it's I never actually asked anyone. I was like, how does this whole process go?
Smith, correct?
No, that's James is in Albania. Smith is in
James,
in
Los Angeles.
yes, he's the
Got
he's the
you.
music composer.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah, that's the one I put you in touch with.
Yes, yes. Man, it's been a little while since I talked to him. I have their text thread like from maybe like May or
Yeah,
something, but
he just had a kid, his first
yeah,
kid, so he's a little busy.
amazing. Super cool.
Yeah, so he's excited, but also a little weirded out because
Yeah.
that's what happens when you have your first kid.
Yeah. Yeah. Um excellent. Um tell them a little bit more. So funny, like I say tell them like the audience,
Yeah,
but what's like go more into depth if you will on the like what exactly your what is it
my
niche,
venture
yeah,
or my
yeah, your venture video game wise, like
yeah,
you program but you want people to play your video games, and so what is that process from like boom brainstorm to
sure. It's what
release?
I'm going through right now, basically.
Amazing.
Uh, so I mean, the start of it comes up kind of like a movie, like writing a movie. It's like you come up with some sort of idea, a script of some
Okay.
kind.
Hmm.
So I have some sort of design document that I have somewhere. I think it's on the cloud at the moment, in a
Okay.
Google Doc somewhere.
Yeah.
Honestly, this one I'm working on, the idea came to me from a civics and culture,
Okay.
and I was sitting there, I was like, oh, and so I started typing down things and spent the next 2 days brainstorming. And since then, it's just kind of like sat there, but because of the idea, I think is good. Um, but you go from that, and you go, okay. So from there, you can build your own game engine, or you
Okay.
can use a third-party game engine.
Hmm.
Building your own takes, depending on what you want to do, can take 2-3 years because it's graphics libraries, it's physics, it's collision, and there's a whole bunch of extra stuff on
Mm.
top of that.
Yeah.
Now, if you build it yourself, there's a lot of benefits to it. You know exactly how it works. The performance issues are less problematic to people because you can fix those easily, and
Hmm.
you only have to build it as big as you need.
Okay.
So if you only need like a simple platformer, like a Super Mario 3 or Super Mario World,
Hmm.
like you don't need a Unreal Engine 5 to make Super Mario 3.
Okay.
Um, So Nintendo mostly makes their own engines to their specifications. They don't
Got you.
use. I don't think they use like the new Legend of Zelda engine, the Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild in their 2D side scroller
Okay.
Mario's. I might be wrong about that, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to me to do the same thing in the same. Um, like I'll have to qualify that a little bit. There are ways to do it, but it makes some more sense to me that they would separate those two teams out and those two engines
Okay.
out.
Yeah.
Um, so what I did is I picked up a third party engine.
Okay.
Um, so you go in there and then you start building it together. So you put down textures, sprites, collision on it, like draw a collision onto it.
Mhm.
And then I go into code and I start saying, okay, when this button is pressed, like I'm playing on mouse and keyboard, so when WASD A is pressed,
Mhm.
like move the character 10 pixels to the left,
Okay.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so every time it's pressed, you'll see moving like 10 pixels, and then just slowly builds from there. It's like you have an input system, you have like a camera that'll follow the player around. It just keeps on slowly building. So I'm now, what's the date today? 16th?
16th. October 16th.
Yes. So I'm now 2.5 weeks into the project.
Very cool.
Shooting for by the end of this month to have some sort of play test that I can hand to somebody and say, hey, what do you think of this?
Mhm.
It's not going to be, flashy. It's not going to be GTA 5.
Yeah.
But it is going to be a game that I made basically from scratch using a
Yeah.
third party engine.
Very cool.
And then from there, you go into like adding polish stuff like
Okay.
sound, art. Like, so I call what I'm kind of doing, it's called gray boxing,
Okay.
where it's like if you were in a 3D thing, you'd basically just put walls down. There's no
Okay.
texture on them, there's nothing on them. And so people just kind of see gray.
Okay.
But if it's fun in gray box, it'll be fun when I get flashy graphics on it.
Very
So
cool.
that's kind of the process I'm working on right now. I
That's
hope that
that's
answered everything you need.
no, that's really good. I didn't know that you could like like immediately as soon as you program like the W in
Hmm.
WASD is
Yep.
like forward, side,
Yeah.
backward. Okay. Just want to make
You
sure
can
I
use
knew that.
use a controller, left thumbstick,
Yeah,
left
yeah,
thumbstick.
yeah. So if you can say, "Hey, I want this thing to move 10 pixels to the left." And then I assume you hit like enter on your program and
Yes.
then you can hit it and immediately it recognizes like, okay,
Yeah. I mean,
very
there's
cool.
a syntax to it. Like it's like another language.
Yeah.
Basically, I call it when I'm programming, I call it arguing with the computer all day.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like, and once you get the argument correct, the computer will do whatever you want.
Very cool.
And so like, and in one engine it does work slightly differently, and the code looks a little bit different than another
Hmm.
engine.
So
And
my for video, you probably know a little bit about this, but I'm just trying to capture like the work,
mhm,
the immediate review of what you're working on. So in video, you put like a clip together, two different clips, and then you see if it cuts correctly. If it doesn't cut, you add a transition,
mhm,
and that's like your quick little like 30-second review.
mhm,
So for you with programming, you type out your program. I
yeah.
want this to move, and then you hit enter
Then I hit usually F5 is what is yeah,
F5.
is like compile and run kind of thing.
Okay.
But you hit F5 and another window pops up and says, and then you can control it.
Yeah.
And so
Amazing. Immediately you're able to control.
yeah, if you use a third
Okay.
party engine. Now this is if you used your own engine, you had to make that from scratch. That for experienced graphics programmers, like I've seen the YouTube videos
Hmm.
where they make like an engine, a Minecraft engine in I think a week.
Oh wow.
Um, and they can do it. They're very good at it, and so they can get like a cube showing up in a couple hours. For me, it would probably take a while longer. I'm not familiar with like that's a whole nother level of programming that I'm not that good
Yeah.
at. I've done it before, but it took a while,
Yeah.
and I realized I didn't enjoy it. So
Very cool. That is very interesting. The amount of like gray boxing that goes into it before you you add your like fun
It's
touch, or
yeah,
like it
see,
really comes together.
and this is part of the issue I think with a lot of, well, now we're going to go into like the philosophy of games
Yeah,
and AAA,
yeah,
and but part of the issue I think with a lot of AAA games is you don't know it's fun until 2 or 3 years into the project,
yeah.
and that's a problem,
Hmm.
I think. And at that point, you know, a single player game takes 5 to 6 years to develop nowadays, which is, even if you're paying people less than average, or like average, that's 30 to 100 people make doing 5 to 6 years. That's a 50 to $100 million.
Hmm.
It's like, and if you've spent 3 years doing it, that's 25 to $50 million, and you don't even know if this is fun yet.
Yeah.
And that it blows my mind that I've worked on games that have done that, um, and I can't comprehend it. It frustrates me to no
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I go back and I look at there's key points I think in games industry where certain companies and software team and game teams have made something amazing.
Okay.
Um, and I go back and I try and like study and figure out like what did they do differently. And one of the things I found is that the developers just loved playing their game.
Hmm.
They loved their game. They loved their craft. And it's like, so, and one of the things was like, even as early as like 2 weeks into the project, was it fun? And if it wasn't fun, they started tweaking and changing it, and didn't matter. It's like, if it wasn't fun, throw it out, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that like there's a little bit of, I think it's called gambler's fallacy, where it's like
Okay.
too much, like we put too much money into it, we have to see it through. There's a little bit of like pride involved with it, where like
Yeah.
I can't say no, I can't let this not be
Yeah.
accurate and stuff like that, or fun.
Definitely.
So it's just it's frustrating for me to do it. So I'm trying to change my approach and do it, make sure it's fun. So that's why, like, 1 month in, I'm trying to get, I'm going to put it in front of some friends and family. Be like, did you have fun playing it? I know it's a simple game, but is it like, was it fun at all?
Hmm.
And if it's not, then I'll go and tweak some things. I'll add some things, like, but it has to get fun first
Yeah.
before I start like really spending money on this.
Yeah. 100%. That is it's good stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure what else to say about it. it's
No,
it, it
that's very very in depth. I find that very cool. I'm sure you could talk about like more detailed,
I
like
yeah, I don't want to bore too many, like, because I
yeah,
can get super technical
yeah, yeah,
on how things work.
yeah,
Like every now and then I'll talk to my dad. He's a theologian, so he's like this. I mean, you probably interact with Frank some. His understanding of technology is probably very minimal.
yeah.
Um, and he's like, so that's probably every sixth time I talk to him, he's like, so how do computers work again? It's like, how
No
does this
way.
actually work? And I have to explain and be like, okay, it's ones and zeros, on off. Like there's, and start going into that, and
Yeah,
his eyes just kind of glaze over, and then it's done.
that's so funny. Um, it's great. Very cool. It's I admire the creating something from nothing. That's very cool.
Yeah, that's the
I
hard part.
yeah, yeah, it's like how do we really make something of this? That's really cool. Um we've kind of referenced it. We know who you are, what you do and whatnot. Um you have let's talk about your walk with the Lord,
Hmm.
your faith
Yeah,
and connect that to your job and your dreams and stuff like that and
sure.
like maybe your gifts a little bit. What has the Lord done in your life in the last year? And then maybe you could also sprinkle on top of that, kind of how you got into games and why you feel called to it, right?
Yeah,
You feel called to the video game programming um, job, and so I mean, you felt led to start um, your own studio. So talk a little bit about how you got to know the Lord and what He's doing in your life currently with your job and
yeah.
just all things.
Um, I don't remember a time when I wasn't a Christian. Like me, family, I'm one of 10, and
Wow,
and
wow.
and all of us, and like as far as I know, are still devout Christians, uh, dedicating ourselves to God and stuff like that. I don't remember we grew up reading the Bible stories.
Mhm.
Um, like we would chant psalms every morning. uh Church was that was just, it's not just like it was who we are. It wasn't just like, oh, we're
Okay.
going to go to church kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it helps that my dad was a pastor when I was growing up.
Yes.
um but like, I mean, as a reference point, like it was very strange to be in the games industry in 2014, and I joined a team of 300 people
Okay.
and was one of three Christians that I knew of, and the only one that like was like, yeah, I go to church every week.
Yeah.
Like no one else did that
Yeah.
kind of thing. So it was like, I've met more Christians in the industry, but they aren't as outspoken about it as I am,
Okay.
um, with a couple exceptions. But so my whole life has been like, I it's hard for me to say like there was a before. I don't
Got you.
have that.
Yeah.
Um, it's very strange because grew up in a PCA church,
Mhm.
very Reformed Presbyterian. Uh, Spent most of my life in a
We got a
they're
helicopter.
coming for me. Uh, there's a small denomination called Community of Reformed Evangelical Churches, um, which is very like very Reformed,
Okay.
5 point Calvinist kind of, that type of thing. So this is probably the most Pentecostal church I've ever attended, and I know it's not that Pentecostal,
Yeah.
but it's the most one
Yeah.
Pentecostal one. Um, so like it's very weird to like hear testimonials from our pastors and volunteers and stuff, and like, oh yeah, I was lost and then I was found. It's like I don't ever remember being lost,
Mhm.
which is an odd place to be because you don't realize like what you're saved from in a way. Like uh, like we look at the parable of the prodigal son a little bit, and there are times when I resonate more with the older son than I do with the prodigal son.
Okay.
So they come back, and I understand this idea of being a little offended that someone who strayed and came back uh, gets to have a better party than I did, even though I stuck around.
Yes.
Um, and I'd like that is like, if you had to put me in Jesus's time, like the sin I would probably be problematic for me would be, I would probably be more on the side of the Pharisees kind of thing, in
Yes.
terms of like, I grew up in this is like who I am. And yeah, so it's this is getting to your
No, no,
question
I
about
understand. That's great. I always like a backstory
yeah,
and yeah.
it provides a little bit of context.
Yeah.
um so I did have a like there's a weird point almost a year ago now, where my younger sister um got married last Thanksgiving,
Okay.
and my dad preached a sermon or homily on hope for the wedding, and
Okay.
was like, and said hope is like an integral part of the Christian life.
Okay.
And it made me get very I'm a pretty self-analytical guy. Like
Okay.
I'd spend a lot of time like trying to figure out, like, where am I going wrong.
Mhm.
And I realized when I was like rolling that over in my head that hope is a kind of a foreign concept to me,
Okay.
uh, because the way I define hope, and my dad and I had a lot of discussions about this, but the way I define hope is uh, something unexpected that benefits me.
Okay.
It's like like I shoot a basketball shot and I hope it goes in is different than I have faith it goes in.
Yeah.
Hoping it goes in is like, yeah, I perform an action, but I don't know the outcome. I have no, like, maybe kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, to coin a term from Tolkien, he uses the term eucatastrophe, which is a catastrophe of good on the side of the good. So a
Mhm.
protagonist benefits from a random act of luck or
Yes.
something like that.
Yes.
And I have a hard time saying, like, I'm going to rely on a hope.
Yeah.
Um, Again, there's a little bit of the Pharisaical, the analytical, the logical mind that I have. I would say I have, like, my faith is very deep and strong because I have faith that the way that God set up the world will lead to certain things. Like,
Okay.
a farmer plants his seeds and God promises that those seeds will grow into a harvest.
Yes.
So I have faith that God will do that. But I don't plant my seeds and hope that they
Yeah.
so it was this weird like uh not existential crisis, but kind of.
Okay.
Um there like God has answered a lot of prayers in my life,
It's great.
but I can only tell by looking back at them,
Mhm.
if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I can point at many, many times where I've like prayed for something, and then 5 years down the road, or 6 months down the road, I can look back and be like, that was an answer to prayer.
Yeah.
So anyway, I had a conversation, and instantly, just like things stopped. Like it was an instant change of like just peace, and like I have struggled with like my temper a lot in my life.
Likewise. It's great.
and so, but little sins that I had been struggling with, that I had been like begging to go away, like just stopped becoming a thing. And
Mhm.
it was weird. And it's like, and if I hadn't been baptized already as a kid, and if I hadn't been living a life, what I would call a Christian life, and I believed I was saved as long as I can remember, I would have called that my conversion. But
Okay.
I don't believe it. I just think that
Yeah.
it was uh, a blessing, we'll say, from
Yeah.
God, just to be like, hey. And since then, things are just started lining up to start the studio. So about 4 months later, an investment that we had, someone came up and wanted to buy it, and the amount that it came out to be for what they wanted to buy was how much I had said that I needed to start the studio and
Yeah.
work on it for 6 months.
Amazing.
Uh, and then things just started falling into place. Like again, we talked about this before, but like my wife is now
Yeah.
unemployed, and now
Yeah.
she gets to take care of the kids. And like that is a immediate answer to prayer. Like, well,
Yeah.
not immediate. That's a 6 week prayer. We've been asking
Yeah.
for that one, but uh,
Came fast.
it
It's
did.
great.
It did. Um, and so now it's suddenly like uh, I feel favored by God in
Very
a way
cool.
that I didn't feel favored by God before.
Yeah.
And I don't. This is not. I'm not trying to get into like a theological like discussion about like what favored and stuff like that, but it's like this is how I'm experiencing it. Uh, and suddenly I was like, okay, I can do this. Like this is impossible task I have
Mhm.
in front of me,
Yeah.
and okay, maybe I can. Like there is a hope that I'm reaching out for. There is no guarantee that I will like this studio will do anything.
Yeah.
Like it may be a sinkhole, and 6 months from now I'm like, okay, gotta go back to work for the man.
Yeah.
Uh, but hey, let's put it all on God and see what happens.
Amazing. Super cool.
Yeah. So um, that kind of coincides in with like why I called it LuxCore.
Okay.
So LuxCore is a semi pun on my last name. Uh, so LuxCore is Latin for light. Lux is light, and core is heart. And so since you pronounce my name Lightheart, I was like, okay, I'll just like fine. You make anything Latin and it sounds cooler. Uh, and then it was like, but also uh, the philosophy behind it is like, and this goes into what I think about art.
Okay.
Is uh, I kind of going to steal from C.S. Lewis a little bit, but he defines nostalgia as, not as like a looking back at the past and like remembering some fanciful thing that you had and like that feeling of nostalgia, but rather a yearning for something that we know is there but we haven't seen.
Okay.
So like a yearning for the paradise of Eden. I think he just described it as like a yearning for the other side of a door that we know, like we can't see the other side, but we know is like we can that can be opened,
Okay.
um, where we can finally be made whole again. And art, in my mind, is something that peels back the curtain just a little bit, so that a ray of light comes through and hits our hearts,
Mhm.
and then so Lightheart is LuxCore, and that's where it came from.
I like that. That's cool. That there's a lot of meaning that goes into that, and I that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I tried.
Yeah.
I tried.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time like trying to come, and finally I was like, I just do it this way. Like
Yeah.
this is so dumb. Why am I fighting this?
Super cool.
But I feel like a little prideful to put my own name on a company that I
Yeah.
own. But
Yeah.
that's Latin. We'll leave it at that.
Amazing. Well, I There's some folks that'll resonate with that. Like there was never a moment when I was raised in a Christian home,
Yeah.
and I kind of, not a breaking point, but just a spot where you're like, what's going on here?
Right. WTF.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, Very cool. Thanks for being so open about it, and yeah, just catching us up with your faith and your job and all that. It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Super cool.
It's been extremely beneficial to be attending Calvary,
Yeah.
actually. Like, yeah. I mean, I've had lots of discussions. Um, I think that Pastor Frank, when we came to Calvary 101, he said something. It was like, uh, the problem uh, with like, I think he said Baptist, but I don't remember it. But like the problem with like Pentecostal is is they don't think about anything they do.
Hmm.
They just do it. And the problem with Reformed is they only think. They never
Okay.
do. And it's like that's definitely, I would call it, that's kind of how I grew up, was like making sure I'm very right before I do anything. It's like diving into the scriptures. Like there's countless times where I've been a part of Bible studies where we like go into very esoteric, specific Pharisaical stuff and forget about the big picture. So Calvary has been very helpful to be like, hey, like relieve that. Like that's, my mind doesn't, is not supposed to work that way. I'll leave that up to like the smart theologians like my
Yeah,
dad, and like worry about the Apostles' Creed and go from there.
it's great. Um, Tell me a little bit about like who's a role model that you have that you seek inspiration from, or you admire their craft. Um,
It would have to be probably Tolkien.
J.R.R. Tolkien.
Yes.
Very cool.
Like I've read The Lord of the Rings 17 times.
Really,
Yeah.
it's great.
I know. I haven't read the Bible that many times.
It's a good series.
Yeah, it is.
It's good stuff.
It was. I'm reading through a book right now called Sanctifying Myth. I
Okay.
forget who it's by, but it's going into like diving into why, like the mythology, and like why Tolkien decided to do the things he did,
Hmm.
and how his faith like guided his methods.
Yeah,
But I mean, I don't know if you've done any research on Tolkien at all.
a little bit,
Okay,
tiny
like
bit.
he didn't care to publish it at all.
Yeah.
Like he was just building this for his own amusement.
Hmm.
Like what people say is like he wanted to like write, like make up a couple languages,
Hmm.
dwarf and elvish,
Yeah.
and so he created an entire universe so that those languages would exist. It's like that's the
Wow.
kind of like mind and stuff like that he
Yeah.
had. And it's like that is, I, every time I read something about him or by him, I get goosebumps.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, that's an easy one. Another another one would probably honestly be Greg Popovich of the San Antonio Spurs, the San Antonio Spurs head coach.
That's amazing.
Uh,
Wow, that's a curveball. I never would have guessed. That's
I love
cool.
basketball,
Yeah.
um, but he has a philosophy. They have a quote called the Stone Cutter. I think it's the Stone Cutter. Um, uh, Basically, it's the quote is like, a stone cutter like pounds his chisel against the rock
Okay.
over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And when like there is finally a blow that splits the rock in two, but the stonecutter knows that it wasn't the final blow that split the rock in two, but all the combination of all of the blows before that.
Hmm.
And it's basically, it's like, doesn't matter if you do it the same way and do it right over and over and over again,
Yeah.
you will get there.
Yeah.
And his attitude, his like approach to how he coaches, and like I would,
Fundamentals.
yeah, it's like say get back to fundamentals and game dev.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah. So like there's so many others, but those are the two like people I've never met that come to mind. It's like I appreciate their life philosophy.
Author and a basketball
Yeah.
coach.
What else can you ask
It's
for?
good stuff. Very,
I guess
very
I could have
cool.
used a biblical patriarch, but
It's okay. There are there are mentors, maybe not our No, there are role models too. I'd be a little twisted if I said
Yeah, maybe.
that.
I do have something for you though.
Amazing.
Yeah, I have something for you.
This is a first.
I
Very
know you.
cool.
I know. There was a Mike and Ike's episode, but I figured you need to try out that candy if you've
Oh,
never had those
hallelujah.
before.
This is so thoughtful.
I've already had a bag today, so I can't have any during the podcast. I limit myself to only one one a day.
Let's get like the no.
Get them salivating.
This is really cool stuff. Yeah.
I hope
This
you like
is
nerds.
I do.
Okay.
I think I haven't had these in maybe 3-4 years. So
Yeah, these are. I got introduced to them by my brother James when he came by because they can't get like right, nerd gummies. We're not sponsored.
I mean, maybe. Shoot. Nerds, help us out.
But yeah,
Very thoughtful. I appreciate
you're
this.
welcome. Think you need some energy after setting all this up.
Yeah, that's right. I was hustling for sure. Set those there. Eat 2 more. Before I eat these, kind of a deeper question.
Yeah.
Because I've shuffled the questions a little bit. What's one question about life that you wish could be answered? It's not like some folks are like, is there aliens?
I don't care.
Or maybe like,
What's one question about life?
I think the question might need a little bit of work, but
It's not exactly about life. Can it be about the afterlife a little bit?
it'd be great.
Okay. This is something that I don't know and that I've struggled with a lot about heaven. So my general approach to like we'll say an understanding of why bad things happen, like suffering happens.
Okay.
And part of that is, I think, to help us get better at whatever we're doing. So, a child, a toddler starts taking his steps, falls over and hurts himself a little bit, but it helps him get better each time. Like, so I view a lot of pain that I've suffered as helping me get better, refining me, sanctifying me in a way. Like struggle, I get somewhere by struggling. And I see that happen a lot with like in nature too. Like a seed has to be split open,
Yeah.
and like if a seed could feel, that can't feel very nice.
Yeah.
It's like, or the earth has to be split open by the plow
Yeah.
for it to like life to come from it.
Yes.
Like there's a lot of like struggle that happens in the way this world works. And I don't believe that I don't believe we're going to be omniscient when we get to heaven or omnipotent when we get to heaven. Okay. So if I get to heaven and let's say there's golf and I love golf, I'm a big golfer, or I don't get to play as much, but I love golf.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be a scratch golfer right away. Okay. I cannot comprehend trying to get better at something without the pain of losing, pain of failure pushing me to get better at it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the joy of success is there, but it's more about I really hate the pain of failing at something.
Yeah.
And I can't comprehend in my little head how that works in heaven at all. Like, so that if I could ask, like, if I could ask like a question that like theoretical question of God or someone in heaven, that would be the question I would ask.
Yeah.
It's like, just, I don't understand. I have no idea how this is possible.
Yeah.
Because I can't comprehend it.
Yeah. If there's no like, if it's all joy and all things like that.
Yeah, because
how
my growth comes from from a lot of the pain I've endured.
Yeah.
So I don't know what goes on.
Yeah. What pushes you to get better? Are you like you're saying like how can you be better all the time?
But
Or
yeah, like why would I go like, because you can't be like, I can't be the best.
yeah.
There's still going to be a hierarchy of some kind. Like that's just the way that the world works, or maybe heaven doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Now we're getting into a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like that would probably be the question. And yeah,
How do you build and grow and learn from
from no pain.
yeah, yeah,
I don't know.
no wrongdoing
Yeah.
or no yeah. You don't get an A every time.
Well, yeah, I'm not.
Yeah.
It's like one team. If you play a pickup game of basketball, you would expect one team to lose.
Yeah.
Did they? And it's like so. Like, and I played like where you don't really mind losing, but you still kind of do.
Yeah.
It's like, do I care?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So that's something that I've wondered a lot about. I've got the rest of life figured out.
Yeah. It's good stuff. I like to think that way too sometimes.
It's a nice way to be like you're like, okay, I've got it all figured out here. Well, I'm gonna try and figure out what's happening after.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
What about
Well,
you? Like, I what, what's one burning question that you would ask?
mm, um, I would like to know, like, so there's interactions that you have with people that maybe you hurt them or you've been hurt, right?
Mhm.
Like, what I want to know, like, did that person like actually forgive, or have I actually forgiven them like
Hmm.
wholeheartedly? It's stuff like that where it's like, did two people really find common ground in their hearts, or is it like you just carry it with you like through life,
Hmm.
like something even as simple as like someone took like say you left $100 and it fell out of your pocket and that it disappeared after a few minutes
Hmm.
somewhere, right? It's like, oh, I forgive that person. It's $100, right? It'll come back. I can work for it. But it's little things like that, like we're talking about afterlife, but in the afterlife, do you want, like, do you seek answers from your life or stuff like that?
Yeah.
It's like how, like, the mystery of like disappointment in others,
Yeah.
or the disappointment others had in you. Like, was there common ground? Did did you guys find a way to agree or forgive?
Hmm.
Yeah, that's one. But another one is like, I'd like to know what I want to know what the I wish there was somebody that was like a passion therapist, like what's your passion in life,
Hmm.
and like why, like connect it to like why you're gifted in that area or why you have passions like for certain things. Like, now you can ask the Lord. He'll give you your passions and your strengths and whatnot, but also like somebody to like coach you like in your passions. Which then again, like you've got some folks have parents that coach them at things, and whether it's sports or music and whatnot. Um, yeah, like like breaking down like the passions in people.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
A little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Passion and forgiveness. Those things I find pretty interesting in
Yeah.
this globe that we spin on, you know?
That's funny. Because when I think of something like I love when things just click together.
Yeah.
Um, like uh, my one of my favorite movies of all time is Hot Fuzz. Uh,
Explain it real quick.
what the movie is,
Yeah.
basically a super cop. Like he's not like actual superpowers, but like the best of the best cop
Yeah.
gets transferred from his job in downtown London
Okay.
to a hole in the wall station in middle of nowhere, England,
Okay.
to the best village in England. Is like they've been named the best village like 4 years in a row or something like that. Because he was making everyone else look bad.
Okay.
Because so it's like it's very much a comedy, like, but he gets put there and then starts things accidents start happening and he starts feeling like he's uncovering secrets and like murders, but everyone's around him's like kind of acting like these are just accidents, like,
Mhm.
um, but it's very humorous, playing a lot on Bad Boys 2 and Point Break.
Okay.
Like it's I wouldn't call it a parody of action movies so much as like a celebration of action movies.
Okay.
Like, but in when I watch it, and I've watched it a lot, it was the like I don't know if you experience this with your roommates, if you have roommates at all.
I do as
Okay,
recently, yeah.
okay, so we would have I can't do it so much anymore with Netflix, but we would have a movie just constantly playing at the house I was at. It's like so people would leave, come back, and basically every time they came back, if the movie wasn't started, they would press play. So Hot Fuzz was that movie,
Yeah.
and so like I would watch it a little bit in the morning while I was having breakfast, then go to work, come back for lunch. If someone else hadn't started, I'll press start and start watching it again. And like so, it's basically constantly playing. So I probably watched it 25 times.
Yeah.
Um, there is no piece of dialogue. And there's no scene. I don't even know if there's music that doesn't fit exactly. Like you can't. I don't think you can add anything to it to make it better, and you can't take anything away to make it better. Like
Really?
it is, but and it's just if I could. So you go back to role models. The
Yeah.
director of that movie is Edgar Wright.
I gotta look this up while you're
Um,
talking about it, just so
uh,
I can understand more.
Edgar Wright, and he is a British screenwriter and director. But he's someone I kind of look up to in terms of honing their craft. We need Jamie to
Yeah.
Jamie pull up Hot Fuzz.
That's funny.
It's just it's phenomenal at like just I if I could make a game that was as like tight knit as he makes his movies,
Yeah.
it would destroy the world.
It's very cool. Hot Fuzz. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's very adult.
Yeah.
Lots of language, lots of
Okay.
gore.
All right. Well,
There's
I'll grow up a little bit then.
yeah, there's yeah, you should probably wait a couple of years.
Hey.
But yeah, it's so it's funny like you're like passion and forgiveness or like and I'm like no, I just like watching puzzle pieces come together. So like you're familiar with like the road to Emmaus, right?
The road to Armaeus
Emmaus, Emmae.
is like a treasure hunting thing.
No, it's the two disciples on the road to Emmaus after Jesus was resurrected.
Oh.
It's like the one of the and as they're walking down, Jesus explains to the two disciples how he was prophesied throughout all the Old Testament.
Okay.
If I could be privy to any conversation in all of time, I would want to be at that one.
That one.
That one.
Amazing.
It's like it's just I would. It's like seeing and hearing how all of that fits together.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm sure that they didn't quite convey it all to all the other disciples. Like, there's something. I'm sure there's something there that I'm like, oh, that would be so cool
Yeah.
just to know and just to see like puzzle piece click together.
Yeah. Prophecies definitely. Prophecies answered are definitely something
Yeah, that's true.
to be interested in and take note of. But
Have you ever seen the Bible hyperlink poster? I'll have to show this one to
it's
you.
like dark green. It's like a dark green poster,
It's
right?
like it looks like kind of like a rainbow.
I think I have one in storage somewhere.
Okay.
It's like rolled up.
It like
It's dark green and gray,
I don't maybe
but
where is it? There it is. Oh man, it's not showing up on my because I'm using Brave, but that's an example of it. So that is every verse in the Bible, and whenever is referenced by another verse in the Bible, they draw a line in a different color, and then the white line underneath is like how many times. And I think it's by chapter, and it's like how many times that chapter is referenced.
Very cool. The hyperlink Bible.
Yeah, and it is that I have trouble looking at that and also not getting goosebumps.
Yeah.
So that hangs up behind my desk every day at work.
Very cool.
But it's like again, I'm a puzzle piece. Like
Yeah.
finding like those connections fascinates me.
Yeah. That is super cool.
Less so forgiveness. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah, the puzzle pieces of God and
Yeah,
his plan and all things coming together. That's really cool.
yeah.
Awesome. What can we expect from you in the next year? I know we've caught up. You've told us who you are, what you do, and your faith up until now. You caught us up to where you're at to present day, and you've told us a little bit of your just a deep question that you've got.
Yeah.
Um, what are some of your goals? Obviously, the
Hmm.
studio, your job, your dream. But bigger than that, like maybe like with your family or like a
Um,
trip you want to take. Like,
there's nothing bigger than
yeah, yeah,
that. No. So the studio 6 months is like I have that set in my head.
okay,
So it's like end of March. It's kind
okay,
of where I'm like, if it's not fun by then, okay.
excellent.
Um, and then I'd like to get a six pack. I've never had one. No one in my family has ever had one.
Yeah,
Um, I think that I can do it.
it's
Uh,
great.
and combined with that, I'd love to. I don't think it'll happen next year, but I'd love to join the 1,000 pound club, which is between benching, squatting, and deadlift. You can do a total of 1,000 pounds.
Wow.
I'm nowhere close right now,
Yeah,
but I potentially can get there, but hard to get the six pack and do that at the same
yeah.
time.
No, that's a good goal.
But that's that. Family wise, like I want my 4-year-old to learn how to read this next year.
Awesome.
Um, I want to foster uh, a joyful household, like where we take a deep breath and just enjoy things a little
Okay.
bit. My wife and I are very go 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 oriented,
Yeah.
um, to our own detriment at times, and so it's like it'll be like with her like being at home now and me working from home at least for the foreseeable future. It's like yeah, so it's like just create a Christ filled, joy filled environment at home.
It's a very good goal.
Yeah,
That should be
the harder one.
yeah, that should be anybody listening, anybody that anybody should take note of that and apply it. It's good stuff.
I know you said I've heard yours that what you're trying to do in the next year, but there's something. Oh man, I was going to ask a question about. I was like, I'm trying to figure out. I was like,
I think the three, this is so bad, I kind of forgot what I even said. I want to be 175 pounds.
okay,
Um,
and you're at
right now, I think I'm at 164.
okay,
Yeah, it's tough. I gained, 20 pounds in the last like 2 years. I
okay.
just, you know,
Oh, we've seen each other at the gym a couple
yeah,
times.
yeah, that too. So I'm making progress, but
Meanwhile, I want to
I've,
lose like
I,
10 pounds.
yeah, I've hit a plateau, and it's been a plateau for a little while. So I'm gonna see what I can do. It'll put me at June of next year,
Okay.
so I got plenty of time. But there's that. The media thing.
Hmm.
I want to continue to do this. I am saving up for investing more into it. Like to sit down or book maybe a tent. You know how they do it. Business conferences or whatever.
Okay.
Just a little space.
Yeah.
It'll be cheap. I'll throw up a sign with the logo and be like, "Look at me, I do media."
Yeah. Yeah. Come be on my podcast. You can do a
Yeah,
live podcast.
yeah, I could. I was actually looking into, yeah, doing like getting maybe a camcorder, renting a camcorder,
Mm.
and then doing it live off of the computer. But um, yeah, I'm just investing into this. I love it to death. I trying to get a short video series going. That's an update. Now I chase, now I seek is a short, shallow testimony 2 to 3 minute video, just someone's journey,
Okay.
and add some cool clips and B-roll to it, and add a little music to it, sound design. So yeah, those are some of my goals. Those three right there. Um, yeah, is there anything else that maybe you want to talk about, or just let people know that what you're up to, or
Yeah, I mean, if you're interested in following the progress of the game, like I'm going to be
100%?
like state of the game biweekly
Yeah,
YouTube videos. So Luxcore Studios has its own YouTube channel now.
amazing.
And I have a website. Like if you're in like want to be a part of the community, we have a Discord up and running that will
Excellent.
like let people come in, play test, and just hang out and talk.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, uh, that's basically it. It's like the more people that I get interested in it, the better off I'll be in 6 months, and the more people can kind of give me uh, criticism is
yes,
what I need. It's
it's great.
like the iron sharpening iron,
Okay,
because there's no way that I can do this all on my own. Nobody giving me feedback and it coming out
yeah,
successful.
amazing. It's great. I need to take a little bit of that for myself.
Yeah, it's
With
not easy to learn.
yeah,
Took me a long time.
yeah,
But yeah, luxcorestudios.com is our website. So
excellent. Discord is
I,
discord.com
s-
slash.
well, it would be discord.gg slash, but it's like, it's a very uh, hard thing to do because Discord doesn't give you like personalized servers anymore. So it's like a bunch of random letters and numbers that I don't remember.
Okay,
So there is a link to it in the on the website,
okay,
LuxCore
perfect.
Studios at the bottom. Like there's a Discord icon.
Okay, yeah,
Um, yeah,
we'll definitely tag that, and then you said something else. The YouTube channel.
yeah. The YouTube channel is like, it's just a 5 to 10 minute videos. I've only put out one so far.
Okay,
Next one's scheduled this Friday,
excellent,
which is 20th.
excellent.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know when this episode's coming out. So.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, the 20th of October will come out, and to give a little update on the game, show off a little bit of the progress I've made, and just kind of talking about like a few technical questions, but I'm trying to steer away from like a game dev channel,
okay,
right?
yeah,
Because that's not the audience I want.
okay,
I want gamers,
for sure.
people who will play the game,
Yeah,
not people who are curious. Like, I don't mind gamers who are curious, but it's like I don't want to create a YouTube community around a game. Like, hey, here's a very specific way of programming that I did that solved this problem. It's
yes,
like 90% of gamers don't care, and so your YouTube video won't even go to those guys.
definitely.
So trying to focus more on providing information about the game to gamers than technical aspects of the game development side of it.
Excellent. Super cool.
Yeah.
Do you want to share the name of the game, or is that like kind of
Uh,
unreleased?
I don't actually have a name for the game yet.
Okay.
So it's codename Nostalgia.
Okay.
That's the current working title.
Okay.
I probably like, I mean, like I do have a little merch store. Like if people do want to support, they can go there.
Yeah.
I think it's like luxcorestudios.etsy.com.
Okay.
So it's basically just our logo
Yeah.
on different shirts and stuff like that. Eventually, I'll start adding things. I'll probably put like just nostalgia on the front at some point.
Super cool.
Um, I think that sums up the way that we want the studio to be.
Excellent.
I keep saying we, but it's basically just me right now, so I don't know why I say
Hey.
that. So that's why when people watch this, 10 years down the line, they can be
Yeah.
like, yes, he had forethought.
That's
Uh,
great.
but yeah, so it's like, but yeah, working titles nostalgia. Um, yeah, it'll be a roguelite.
Very
That's
cool.
yeah.
Excellent. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, sir.
You're the
I
best.
had a great time.
Awesome. Guys, thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Amen. Amen.
Amen.